is that? Come on, guys. Welcome aboard the Turtle Blimp. Does this thing actually work? Just watch.
Welcome back to Retro Wednesday at the Tiberium Hangar. This is Mike. Today I want to talk to you about the vintage Turtles Blimp. Now this is something that is still a little bit foreign to me. I did some research to learn about this thing, and evidently I should have done a little bit more, but I'm going to talk about this one. Now this is not the one that they're put in Walmart at 2021, 2022 for 40 bucks. That's not that one. This is the actual vintage one from the late 80s, early 90s. And we're going to talk about this. I'm going to show you all the features, and I'm going to show you that you can actually fit your NECA figures on there, no problem. Talk about this and more coming up. First off, taking a look at this overall, it is very cool looking. It is a really interesting looking blimp. It blows my mind that they even created this, that it blows up and then all these connector points, and there's a lot of issues with leaking air and all that kind of stuff. But the fact they just made this thing, it's mind-blowing. It's a really good idea because you're just blowing up a balloon to make up, what, 60% of the vehicle. And you have a detachable glider and all of cool stuff, but it doesn't match the cartoon. It really doesn't. I don't know why they didn't have it match the cartoon better than they did, but it still looks cool. It doesn't change the fact that it looks cool, but when it comes to matching the cartoon at the end, I'm going to tell you what they did to try to fix that. First thing I want to show is the driver's seat, cockpit, whatever, and I'm going to use Leonardo. Leonardo is my favorite character just because he's got swords and he's blue, but he can kind of fit in there. There's no seatbelt to hold him in place, and really nothing to just hold on to specifically. There is sort of a handle down here, and this, although this rotates and looks kind of cool, looks like he's operating, he's not interacting with it, he doesn't touch it or anything like that. So let's go ahead and put the NECA one back on there. And here is the NECA one. And the reason I'm pointing this out about NECA, which I did have him on here, I kind of put him up on a standing because I don't want to move the legs too much to make him sit and all that kind of stuff, but he does kind of fit. He's standing. It looks okay. It looks fine. It looks great for display if that's what you want to do. But I don't really know if we'd get a blimp from NECA or Super 7 or any of them. Here goes the Playmates that came with the Street Fighter figures, and that fits like a glove. That works. He does look almost a little bit too big for it, but it still fits, and it still works, and I'd be okay with it. Here's the worst AXN, best AXN. It fits too. But of course, I'm just going to put a vintage figure in there or a reissue figure because that's just the way it works, but still looks good with all of the figures in it. Let's go ahead and take a look at all of the features here. And so this is a footlight to spot the Foot Clan. And then below that, we have a canopy, a cockpit canopy right here. We have an infrared sort of sensor right there. You have a dual machine guns right below that. And then we also have anti-foot blaster. So this does spin 360, and this also rotates independently side to side if that's something that you want. And then it didn't really talk about it, but this handlebar is kind of cool in there too. This is called a turtle torpedo, and it is one on each side. There's actually two of these. It does not come off, and that's why that part's usually not missing. And then down below we have these engines down here, and they call them the dual turtle turbos. And so with that, there's not much to the engines, and here's the front piece, which kind of looks kind of cool. There's some orange in it, bright colors. That's what this toy line's known for. Next we have what I looked at the back of the box to get my information, not even an instruction sheet, but it has 4 of what they call wacky bombs, and I have 6, so I think that I have duplicates of some, or it's supposed to come with 6, but I also looked online and people sell them in sets of 4, so maybe it really came with 4, and then we'll get into the gimmick of what this does here in just a bit. But looking back here, looks like we have like another little engine going on back here. We have the lever to drop the bombs, and we have wheels underneath here and right there. Wheels here and here. So looking at the tail end of this, we do have some of these tail fins, directionals that they have on there, which I find, for mine personally, it's a real challenge to keep this on there. It really is hard to get them on there and to keep them on there once you've inflated it. And I never pushed this in because I think that might be a point of contention getting them back out. But all of these points that connect with plastic to it, I believe are possible leak points. Of course, also you can have leaks right here through the seam and all that kind of stuff. I'm curious if there's something you can put in there like some stop leak that would actually work on this product. If anyone's tried it before, let me know. So looking at this from the other side, there are a couple things I want to point out, and we're going to get into the action feature, but you do have this large wing here, and there's supposed to be small wings here. I did not know about that until literally 20 minutes ago when I was looking up some comparison pictures, and I thought, wait, I don't have those small wings on mine, so mine is incomplete. There are small wings that look just like this, except they're smaller, or half the size. And so with that, mine are without it. Now, this thing does detach. These pieces plug into the bottom right here, and then there are some rubber plastic straps that plug in right here, and then there's some plug-ins along, 2 plugs on the top of this, and then 2 plugs on either side there. That's how it kind of comes apart. I'm not taking mine apart. It was a pain in the butt to get it together, and it's going to be a pain in the butt to put it back together again, so I'm just happy with this. But let's get into the action feature. So with this, you can pick this up and fly it around and drop bombs. But that's not all. So the other feature on here would be that you can hang your turtles from it. Now, future releases actually have better clips to clip the turtles in and stuff, but I like the look of this glider much better than the newer ones, so I'm much happier with this. And of course you can do the same thing, and it's like, cowabunga, dude. So next up, I kind of want to show you the difference between the vintage and the modern, but just the blimp part, because I think that the glider is kind of silly on the new one. I don't like it. But I want to say I like the new one of these a whole lot better. It's really hard to do a comparison of these. Are just so big, but as you can see, it looks a lot like the original. They look so much. I mean, this almost looks perfect. Caution, 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 caution. Everything on this looks really good. But again, the glider, I don't like it and that kind of stuff. But this one here, the new one, the Walmart release, has held air for 3 months. But the other one over there, it can't seem to hold air for more than a day or two. That kind of sucks. So now I want to get into the Blimp number 2, which, again, I literally am just now learning about this stuff. But it's kind of cool. It does look closer to what the cartoon looks like, as the cartoon shows more of a silver kind of a glider to it. It shows a lot of yellow in the dirigible with the blow-up part, the balloon part of it, and it's closer, but it still doesn't match it exactly, and actually it's still way off, but it's closer. But I really think the first one is the one that captured the heart and soul and minds of kids back in the day. So my thoughts on this original Turtles blimp, and I think it's cool. I am impressed that Playmates even tried to do this back in the day. I think it's a pretty interesting, sort of a fun vintage toy. Nowadays, the modern one, I think, of course, the balloon aspect is still way better, but this one has a much better glider to it. It doesn't match the cartoon, and if we saw Super 7 or one of them try to make one of these, obviously it would match the cartoon, but I don't think any company's going to make it other than Playmates with the reissues. That's just my belief. For that, when I believe something like that, I go after a vintage one before they get too expensively pricey. They usually run about $100 complete. Obviously mine wasn't complete. Why I got a deal and I didn't know it, but I might find those parts down the road or not really care, because it didn't really affect mine at all, not having those rear small wings. But the action features are okay, and all of the stuff that goes along with it is pretty cool, and there is a way to incorporate the other figures, but it's kind of hard and it's kind of challenging. Hopefully I can figure out a way to make this thing hold air so I can suspend it and have it go last a little bit longer and display a little bit better. But let me know what you think about this in the comments below. Did you have one of these vintage blimps? Did you pick up the Walmart one? Or are you in the market for one of these? Or should you say cancel this and just go for blimp number 2? Like, subscribe, Bedroom Hanger out.
Splinter the Rat, Martello, master of the staff.
War!
Leonardo, the katana blade.
My God.
Raphael, the
Don't
sun.
throw this at home, kids!
And Michelangelo, the shackles.
Radical! It's the Turtles' gigantic and wacky attack aircraft, the Turtle Blimp, featuring pistol grip and wacky bombs with trigger release. Cowabunga! And of course, with the detachable turtle glider, the boys can drop in anytime for pizza or punch. From Playmates